are in the Healing and Meditation Club, and this is the Bhagavad Gita from the beginning room. And tonight we are doing chapter 2, verse 16. And basically, this is an attempt to understand the Bhagavad Gita verse by verse. So we've been on a journey with the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, and usually we begin with the Sanskrit verses and then move into the English translation, and then we do an open discussion so that we can really try to understand how to apply it in a practical sense, rather than treat the Bhagavad Gita in a very theoretical or research oriented manner. So this is just an attempt to try and apply the learnings of the Bhagavad Gita in our lives, and try to soak in the energy of what Lord Krishna spoke about many, many years ago, and really try to see how we can uplift our own lives and enrich it with the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. So, yes, welcome to all of you. And it is indeed a pleasure to have everybody here. Thank you very much for your presence. And yes, I think we should get started off. Okay, over to you, Aditya.
Yes, yes. ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात् ॐ सहस्रशीर्षं देवं विश्वाक्षं विश्वशम्भुवं विश्वं नारायणं देवमक्षरं परमं पदं विश्वतः परमानित्यं विश्वं नारायणगं हरिं विश्ववेवेदं पुरुषस्तत्विश्वमुपजीवति पतिं विश्वस्यात्मेश्वरगं शाश्वतगं शिवमच्युतं नारायणं महात्मेयं विश्वात्मानं परायणम् नारायण परो ज्योतिरात्मा नारायण परः नारायण परं ब्रह्म तत्त्वं नारायण परः नारायण परो ध्याता ध्यानं नारायण परः यच्च किञ्चित् जगत् सर्वं दृश्यते सूर्यते वा अन्तर्बर्हिश्च तत्सर्वं व्याप्य नारायण स्थितः अनन्तमप्ययं कविगुं समुद्रेन्तं विश्वशम्भुवम् आत्मकोशप्रतिकाशकं हृदयं चाप्यधोमुखम् अधो नित्यावितस्यान्ते नाभ्यामुपरितिष्ठति ज्वालमालाकुलं भाति विश्वस्यायतनं महत् सन्ततगं शिलाविस्तुलं वत्याकोशसन्निभम् तस्यान्ते सुशिरगं सूक्ष्मं तस्मिन् सर्वं प्रतिष्ठितम् तस्य मध्ये महालक्ष्मीविश्वासि विश्वतोमुखः सोऽक्षभुक्तिभजन् चित्तन्नाहारमजरक्तभिः वीर्यगूर्ध्वमदशायिरस्तयस्तस्य सन्तता सन्तापयति स्वं देहमापादतलमस्ततः तस्य मध्ये वह्निशिखा अनिर्योत्पाप्यवस्थितः नीलतो यदमध्यस्तात् वित्पुल्लैकैव भास्वरा नीवारशूकवत्तन्वी पीता वा आस्वत्यनूपमा तस्या मध्ये परमात्मा व्यवस्थितः स ब्रह्मश्च शिवश्च हरिश्चेन्द्रः सोऽक्षरः परमस्वराट् ऋतगं सत्यं परं ब्रह्म पुरुषं कृष्णपिङ्गलम् उत्परेतं विरूपाक्षं विश्वरूपाय वै नमो नमः ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात् ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् ॐ
Thank you. Thank you very much, Aditya. All right. Sumanji, you wish to offer the Dhyan mantra?
Yes, Jiji.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. So, Shri Krishna प्रीत्यर्थे पाठे विनियोगः ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेनाग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनी मम्बत्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दाय तपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवैत्रेकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्धनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहिनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवाः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मवरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवै वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदै गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगुणा देवाय तस्मै नमः अथ ध्यानम् शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिरुध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथं सर्वं कृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you, Sumanji. Thank you for that.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Namaste, Sukanya ji.
Namaste. I'm so sorry for being so late.
No worries. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, yes, yes. Everything's good.
Okay. So, chapter 2, verse 16. नासतो विद्यते भावो न भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्त्वा त्वानयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. So, if we do a direct English translation of this, it literally means those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existent there is no end. The seers have concluded this by studying the nature of both. So, briefly talking about, we are into the second chapter, which is basically an overall summary of the Bhagavad Gita. And in the previous verse, which is basically, this verse is in continuation from the 15th verse, which wherein Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna uh, and telling him that, "O best among the young, among the men, the person who is not disturbed by happiness or distress and is steady in both the states is certainly eligible for liberation." So there he's talking about the eligibility criteria for a renounced state. So renouncement is basically somebody who is first of all steady in their determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization, and somebody who can equally tolerate the onslaught of distress and happiness. So it is spoken that such a person becomes eligible for liberation, because one is then truly not disturbed by anything happening outside them, because any number of events could happen and really disrupt your emotional state of well-being. But if you are able to remain steadfast in such a situation, then you become eligible for liberation. And it's basically a reference to the state of renouncement of the materialistic feelings, emotions, and also of fruits of the actions performed. So, in this case, in the case of Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, a warrior, he is advised to persevere, even though it is difficult. It is a challenge to fight with his family members or people who are pretty close or beloved to him. And he's being advised to persevere and remain steadfast in the discharge of his duties. So these are probably the you could say the main conditions being laid out by Sri Krishna for the eligibility to become eligible for liberation. And so he is referring to this verse, the verse which is the verse number 15, and the eligibility criteria. So he is saying over here, those who are the seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the existent there is no end. So here in this verse, which is verse 16, there come out two main salient points, and the first one being that of endurance. So endurance is basically it's the state of being. So here, when Shri Krishna talks about endurance, so this endurance is referring to the endurance of the changing body. And Shri Krishna is referring to the body which is changing every moment due to the actions and the subsequent reactions of the different cells. And this is, you could say, it's also an observable fact that the body is changing every moment. It has been attested by, in many ways, by modern medical science, and you can see this happening around you in your families and even with your own self. It's an observable thing which you can see and feel as well, and that phenomenon is commonly known as growth of the physical body, and also it is referred to as the old age which is taking place in the body. So old age is a phenomenon which is pretty visible, and we see it happening around in our family, and in very small proportions we see that happening in our own selves, in our own body. And if we really talk about researchers from Stanford University and many other subsequent researchers, they've also come up with the findings that the body replaces itself with a largely new set of cells every 7 to 10 years. So within the span of 7 to 10 years, if you were to look at your body, it has practically changed almost all of the cells, and only the hard coded genetic data is left untouched. Apart from that, mostly the cells undergo a lot of transformation and metamorphosis. And not just going to 7 to 10 years, some of our most important parts are revamped, even, you could say, even more rapidly. So some of the cells do not even take that long. You will see some cells get replaced overnight as well. There are a number of cells which do get replaced overnight, and then, the duration keeps on changing, few days, weeks, years, and then it goes on. So practically the entire body is undergoing a state of constant uh, transformation, constant metamorphosis from the inside out. But there is this certain aspect inside us which is referred to Shri Bhagwan, Shri Krishna, as something which is basically not changing. It exists permanently. So that is referred to as the spirit soul, which exists permanently inside us, and it remains there despite all the changes which are happening to either the physical body or the mind, and in any manner. So it just remains there, ever never changing, and remains eternal. So this conclusion is established by all the classes of the learned people, the seers, the people who have learned about this truth through sadhana, through years of practice. So they have arrived at this at through different modes of realizing this truth, and different modes of arriving at it. And basically, it's over here we are talking about the existent and the non-existent. So in the Vishnu Purana, which is related to Vishnu, who is the supreme Godhead, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. So over here, the words existent and non-existent are referring to spirit and matter. So those are the two main aspects being talked about over here, which is basically what it's all about, what the existence is all about. And this is the version of the truth which all seers have arrived at, and basically that is what existence is all about. When we refer to spirit and matter, so spirit lives on whereas the matter, it just gets left behind. Or in many ways it is also, you could say that it changes shapes, it changes forms, it changes energy. So it also applies to the law of conservation of energy, which we've also studied in science, when it is stated that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another, or transferred from one form to another. So basically it's all the flow of energy. So matter just keeps on changing that energy. It You can see that happening. A fruit which is there up on the tree, it gets ripe, and then after a point of time, uh, whether somebody is there to pick it up, pluck it from the tree or not, it will eventually fall down. Obviously, due to the law of existence, which is gravity, which we know as gravity, and it pulls itself to the ground, it pulls the fruit to the ground, and once it reaches the ground, it merges back into the overall planetary structure, overall energy structure, and it goes back, and then it comes back into the tree, and it comes right back outside again. And that's the cycle which keeps going on and on and on, irrespective of whether somebody is there to eat the fruit or not. That is how the cycle just keeps continuing. So it is, you could say, our feeble mind that we start thinking that oh, since the fruit is there, it's going to fall down to the ground and get wasted. But that's not the point. The fruit will go down to the ground whether you are there in time to pick it up or not. So it's just the cycle of life. That is how existence got created. And in many ways, that's how the cycle continues on, whether somebody intervenes or not. So it's something which has been set into motion. And the same applies to the planets as well. They will keep revolving and rotating at the same time. And we should actually be thankful to this phenomenon. We take it so much for granted, but you don't know. I mean, it's like, what if it stops rotating or revolving, either one of them or both of them, even for a few seconds? It's going to prove catastrophic to entire existence. And that is why whatever has been set into motion, the existence which has been set into motion, it is basically, you could say, very perfect in its own way and its own manner. And that is how it is supposed to be, and that is how it was meant to be by the Supreme Godhead, because he just created it. And the Supreme Godhead has their own has its own logic behind it, which is beyond human capabilities to understand. It is beyond our comprehension, that we can really understand why or what it was created. And if we really go into that, there's not going to be an answer, at least not without sadhana. It will require sadhana to really arrive at the truth of that matter. So basically, this is one of the important parts of endurance, which Shri Krishna is talking about in this. And obviously, there is then the also an aspect of ignorance, which is being referred to over here, wherein it's, you could say, it's the beginning of the instruction by Shri Krishna. So Shri Krishna has this habit of sometimes being very gentle with the people around him. But then when the time comes, when the moment arrives, he literally comes down with a heavy hand and really takes up people on task for the dharma which they are carrying out, for the duties which they're supposed to carry out. And so in this way, this is the beginning of the instruction by Lord Krishna to all the living entities who are basically under the influence of ignorance. Because over here, if we really pay attention, the ignorance can be removed by establishing or re-establishing the relationship between who is the worshipper and who is the worshipable. So once that understanding happens of being the part and the parcel of the living entities, then it really clears out your questions or your belief of existence or your actual existence itself in many cases. And so over here it's more like one can truly understand the nature of the supreme lord, of the supreme existence, the supreme energy, by thoroughly examining and studying oneself and truly trying to understand the difference which is existing between oneself and the supreme. Because once one does that, then that ignorance goes away, that ego, that the thought that I am everything, I am the only one in this universe. So in many ways, it's a removal of being the center of attraction, that I am the center of the universe, and replacing that with this concept of matter and spirit, and also with the matter of the worshipper and the worshipable. So in this way, it's also removal of ignorance which is beginning here. And yes, we are going to see in very great detail and at great lengths about this discourse which Sri Krishna is will be giving us to all of us, basically through Arjuna, but it is through time to be sent out to all of us and all of eternity, people to come, people who have already come, and people who are here, to everybody. It's a message to all of us. So we will be seeing these in the future verses. He will be getting into very detailed discussions about knowing the self, and how one can know the self, and how one can hone their own self, and really arrive at the truth of their identity and their individuality and their presence in the cosmos right now. So yes, I think if over to you, Sukanyaji, if you want to add something.
Um, Thank you, Jay. Namaste, everybody. And first, I apologize for being so late today. This verse 16, it it was very confusing to me. I'll tell you that in the beginning, because from what I understand, of course, I was reading the translation that the anything that is transient, or that it does, it's saying that what is transient is has no endurance. It does not exist forever. But that which is the truth, or the eternal, that there is no end to that. And it seems so simple, a statement, that what's something that is temporary, well, yeah, it doesn't last forever, and something that is eternal and never stops existing. So, in its simplicity, it says so much. And it says also that it's people who really who observe the truth and observe nature and study all of that, will understand, will come to understand this. It's as if it's saying, things that are not real, or not everlasting, is going to die out, or cease to exist, and those that are the truth will be eternal. And it almost seems like, I don't know. I am at a loss for words at this one, because it seems to me like you have to know a lot more of what comes before or after to really make a true it, understanding, or get the true understanding of this. So if we're talking about what we see, what's around us, we understand that there was a time that it didn't exist. So there will be a time that it won't exist. Yet, the Atma or Bhagwan, that we don't readily see unless we meditate upon it, or we really sit there to understand it. The things that we don't see, maybe we more experience. That's what's everlasting, and that, in my very limited understanding, that's the best that I could come up with in my mind. And I'm gonna, in its simplicity, it's so far, I think, in its simplicity, this is the most difficult statement or verse so far. And I will leave it up to people who know a lot more than me to help guide me in understanding this. So I look to Acharya-ji or Swati-ji or somebody else who wishes, or Bharat-ji, who wants to speak on this.
I,
Namaste.
I would definitely love to speak, but I would come a little later, maybe in the order. I would certainly love to hear Sridharaji's opinion on this one.
Yes, please.
Hari Om to all. Thank you for letting me to speak. And you have to look back that the previous shloka. It says that Sukha and Dukha, right? So and Sukha and Dukha, they say that Agama Apayinaha. They comes and go, and when it means they are not permanent. They are not exist permanently here. They will come and they will go away. The permanent thing is only is soul. That is what it is. Asataha, and which is not permanent. From them you cannot expect anything. Which is permanent, you can expect everything from them. Right? So if you sat means again good deeds, and asat means bad deeds, or good work or bad work. If you are doing a good work, it will be always it will be recognized by whole. If you are not doing good work, it won't be analyzed, recognized by whole universe. This is what it's in particular shloka. That is why what last time also I said, in one Mahabharata, you can interpret it in 10 different ways. So this way, then the asataha vidyate abhava. Asataha vidyate bhavaha. Asat, which is not exist, it won't be exist at any time. The Sat, it is always exist and it will always exist forever. So all these materialistic thing and everything, it will come and go. It will never stay. They are not permanent. The only permanent thing is soul, and it will stay there. So for that purpose, whatever you experience in this particular universe, or whatever compassion you go through, whatever emotions you go through, everything is not permanent. It will come and it will go. That is what it says. Na asataha, with which is not going to stay here for permanent, which is not going, it should not hurt for you. It should not hurt you at any cost, because it is coming and it is going. If which is something is going to stay with us, definitely it is going to hurt. So that is not, nothing is there in this universe. Everything is coming and going. Only soul will exist with you, and you have to go through this. So that is why, which is not permanent, which is not going to exist here forever, you should not worry about those things. Which is exists, That have to quote. Ubayoho api drushtah antah anayoho ubayoho api drushtah antastu anayoho tattvadarshibhi. The person who has all the scriptural knowledge and everything, he will definitely understand the which is not going to exist. It never ever going to hurt me. Which is going to exist, it will take me to the liberation. That is what we have to understand. Even the good deeds, good karmas, it will stay with us, and other thing will never ever hurt us. At the same time, good work will people will recognize those things, and bad work they're never ever going to recognize this. So you have to keep doing the good things. So you are doing protecting the dharma. This is which is very good thing. That is why you have to do it. So for that purpose, you should not worry about this compassion or emotion or any other things, and just concentrate on which is permanent. That is the soul, and soul's main responsibility. You have to do it. That is what he is explaining in this particular verse. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, then we will see after that.
Thank you. Thank you, Sridharaji. I think to me, when I read this, I'm glad that Jay and Sridharji and Bharaji and people who have this understanding are here to help guide my understanding of this too at this point. Because when I took just this verse by itself, I had a sense of what it was trying to say, but yes, without the previous verse or the upcoming verse, it seemed like something that I could not fully understand. And so thank you for making that a bit clearer, because I guess I was thinking he's saying that the Atma, which is inside all of us, if I'm taking it uh, in a very simplistic way, the Atma that is within each of us is just a small part, possibly, of the eternal Atma or Bhagwan, or the Supreme Godhead or Supreme. That which we cannot really observe unless you do meditate upon it or learn upon it. That's what's permanent. Yet all the things that we see that possibly is Maya, also including Maya, those are the ones that are impermanent. And so then we shouldn't worry about what happens in that realm, because it will cease to exist, because there was a point where it wasn't existing. So it almost seems to me that if I were to really, really make it very, very personal and bring it to just me looking at this, then all of that I have seen, once I came into consciousness, is not necessarily what is going to exist or be the absolute truth that's going to be ever pervading or existing forever. But yet that which I can use and use this life for to really understand, which possibly is within me, is what's going to be permanent. And that's what I should really strive to understand. So then, if I were to really, because in day-to-day living, what I am looking at, and I'm talking about myself personally, what I'm looking at, all the things that I can touch, feel, look upon, converse with, are not necessarily what's going to exist forever. So that one part, the part or the, I guess the Atma that is within that I can't see unless I really seek it, that's the part that I haven't seen or meditated upon, or possibly could go this entire life not knowing or understanding. That is what's going to be permanent. And in just understanding that in these two lines, it's, I don't know, it's just so vast. I almost feel like I can't wrap my mind around it yet, though it's so, in some words it's very simple, but and so that there's this dichotomy that I just can't, I'm having difficulty with this verse, though I understand it. I think I understand it. So I'm going to be stopping here and letting other people continue. Bharatji, or
I can come back in. I mean, I can talk, but I might be struggling a little bit. Give me about 5 minutes. I can maybe. I want to say something on this. If somebody has something to say, please say. I will please join in
I
5 minutes.
think Kashish ji has come up, so probably Kashish ji can go. Namaste.
Namaste, Jay. Namaste, everybody in the room.
Namaste.
Actually, I just joined in and I was listening to Sukanya. So I would be able to speak only if I know which exact verse, although it is written in the topic, but I would still like to hear the verse that you are talking about so that I can also put my perspective forward.
So, Kashish ji, we are talking about Nasato Vidyate Bhavo Nabhavo Vidyate Satah Ubhayorapi Drashto Antastvanayos Tattvadarshibhi. Shloka number 16 in the chapter 2.
Okay, got it.
And
Got it.
there is some bit of vexing, right? This verse is very, very vexing. There are multiple views that are coming. Some bits around an immediate continuation to understanding, samadukka sukham dhiram somrutattvaya kalpate, the Lord's establishing of what the order is like. You have to be in the path of sat bhava. Okay, so I think so. This is a little complicated one. This is the shloka we are talking about. Would love to hear multiple views. There are some very interesting views that have come up so far. More
Okay,
from
I will
Sridharaji,
just
where
put...
he spoke about, it's all about sense organs. We have to just, these are all momentary things, agama pa, they come and go. They're incidental. Okay, tan titiksha, swatitiksha, just hold on to them, just bear with them.
Yes, Kashish ji, please go ahead.
Okay, so I will just put my perspective, and then because I was not in your previous discussion, so maybe I'll be able to give response to the discussions that you're talking about that you had previously only after that. So my perspective on this verse is, what it really means is, of the unreal, asat, there is no coming to be. I'm just expressing the meaning of that right now. Of the unreal, the asat, there is no coming to be, and of the real, sat, there is no ceasing to be. Jo sach hai, could you please tell me if I can speak in Hindi as well?
Yes, it's fine.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's fine.
you can mix it up and
Okay,
speak as you.
okay, thank you. So, जो सच है उसका कोई अंत नहीं है, और जो असत है, there is no coming to be, वो था ही नहीं क्योंकि वो असत है. The certainty about both Sat and Asat is truly seen by the seers of the truth, the men of wisdom. Now, the debate would come only when the debate comes because certain people have realized something, they have reached that level of consciousness, while other people are on their journey to realizing it. So that is why the debate comes, because if everybody would have realized and reached that stage of consciousness where the wisdom comes to everybody, so then the debate would cease to exist. So what it really says, the certainty about both, that is the Sat and the Asat, is truly seen by the seers of truth, the men of wisdom. So the men, meaning the people who have reached that level of consciousness and gained that inner wisdom, then they are able to see clearly the Sat and the Asat. They are able to know the certainty about both of them. Before that, that clarity would never come because the experience has never come. Um, you see, we usually do not believe in things which we have never experienced and which sound like something out of the world. So if today somebody tells you, you know what, you can experience the universe inside of you in meditation. You can see the stars and the moons inside of you. You won't believe it if you have not experienced it. You would say that it's probably this person is just saying just like that, or maybe a story or something. But once you have a personal experience, then you will be able to know that yes, this is true. And just like I mentioned previously, this one, just like in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, it is said, "Sab kuch ghar mein bahar nahi, bahar dole bharam pulai," which means everything is inside of you. There is nothing outside of you. And the one who looks outside is living in an illusion. And many saints from different backgrounds, those who are coming from Vedanta, like Adi Shankaracharya ji is there, then Guru Nanak ji from Sikhism is there. Everybody has said that this world is an illusion. Now, this statement of that this world is an illusion would only come when you have experienced the truth. Unless you have not experienced the truth, you will never know that this is an illusion, and you will keep on thinking that this world that we are living, this is the ultimate truth. So the difference will come. The debate will come. It is bound to come unless a person gets a personal experience in it. So yeah, this is my perspective on the verse. Thank you.
Hi. Can I just add some things? If nobody has any interjection here,
Yes, please do,
I
Prakash.
can. I mean, this is very very nice, right? So I agree with most of the things that have been spoken here. The only observation I want to bring in is that this is the first time Krishna drops a point called tattva. Now, tattva is a big subject, the non-believers, charvakas, right? I mean, even the charvakas have tattva, the four, the earth, the water, the air, and the fire, right? I mean, they don't even see akasha, charvakas, but tattva nonetheless exists. And then, around Kapila, so that tattva darshibihi, the seers of the truth, we say, right? See, this is where maybe the English translation, removes the weight of the word. Tattva is a very sacred word for it, because Krishna keeps on repeating throughout his Bhagavad Gita. He says, tattva with, know it by the tattva. Don't just take my words as gospel truth. Like in the third chapter, he says, tattva vittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho, like, guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjati. Fourth chapter, he says, janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha evam yo veti. Like, he always wants you to know, by the tattva, not just as a gospel truth, because Krishna is telling it, right? And tattva, can range from 4 according to Charvakas. Then it moves on to being 8 in number. In Bhagavad Gita, he mentions about it. Like, he mentions about 7 tattvas to begin with, at least in the beginning, right? So he provides, very brief. So tattva is brought in here, and this is where, in reference to the form of physical state that he mentioned, right? Sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushyati. See, Arjuna has been very very honest in his admission. So all his physical condition, he's telling matra sparshas to boss. This is just happening because tanmatras are again tattva, right? Everything is tattva. See, Krishna blesses him with the message like a friend, but he also tells him like a charvaka, right? At one point, he tells, Ata chayanam nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam. Even if you think there is no Atma, even if you were to think that Jiva comes into being at the assumption of this body, whatever this life, and Atma just perishes to be, it ceases to be upon the death, of this physical body. Like, when once it becomes dead, Atma just doesn't exist. So you just need to maximize your living. So even that kind of a tattva is acceptable because Krishna says that, Chaina nitya jatam nityam va manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho natvam shochitu. See, it's all because you shouldn't cry. It all started, you shouldn't cry, right? Natvam shochitum. Ashochya nanva shochastvam. That's where it all started. The shloka number 11 is an inflection point. Shankara Bhashya, Madhva Bhashya, all of these Bhashyas predominantly start from shloka number 11. Shloka number 2 and 3 is where Krishna speaks, right? For the first time, Kutastva. Very few people have commented on it, like Vivekananda. Maybe some people have some very nice embrace to those shlokas, but predominantly starts from 11, where he starts off with prajna. One thing is prajna, where again, see, that tattva, right? Tattva makes us understand all of these things, like, why you shouldn't cry. Like, first it
Okay,
starts with prajna.
so
Huh.
so
Sorry, come in.
um,
If you think
I
it's
mean,
getting too much, then I will shut.
so
Yeah.
actually, you know what? There is no debate to anything.
No,
Our
no, no, nothing. I know. I
we
should
have
also
been
try
given
that.
these holy books, and it is for us to just basically implement it more than a discussion here. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but I will just put my point of view on it. Tattva Darsi bhi. So thank God that I had studied some Sanskrit when I was young. So Tattva Darsi bhi, they have really translated it to the seers of truth. So Tattva, when we say there are 5 tattvas, air, water, ether, and 5 tattvas that are there. So Darsi bhi means the person. अगर आप इसको हिंदी में देखें, so
दर्शन कराने
जो
वाले.
उसको, हाँ, दर्शन, जो उसको दर्शन उसको देख
दर्शन
सकता है,
कराने
ठीक है.
वाले. हाँ.
हाँ, तो
जो है
तत्वों
कपिल
का जिसको,
महर्षि,
हाँ हाँ, तो
जैमिनी.
अगर हम उसको करें तो वो क्या, तत्वों का जिसको पूरा ज्ञान है. तो अब वो क्या हो गया कि तत्वों का ज्ञान किसको होएगा? तत्व ज्ञान उसको होएगा जो चेतना के एक स्तर पर पहुंच चुका है, जो उस कॉन्शियसनेस के एक लेवल पर पहुंच चुका है, उसको इन्होंने बोल दिया मैन ऑफ विजडम. तो तत्वों का ज्ञान आपको पांचों तत्वों का तभी आएगा, पूरे तरीके से ज्ञान, जब आप उस स्टेज पर अपनी चेतना को ले जाकर उसको एक्सपीरियंस कर लोगे. सो दैट इज व्हाई दे ट्रांसलेटेड इट टू द men of wisdom and the seers of truth. So that is
So
the only
each
thing
of our
that I wanted to say.
traditional institutions does believe in. So, like for example, Sridharaji can very much allude to the fact that in our Madhva Parampara, the school that we follow, there is a very clear-cut Vaishnava Tattva. There are 26 elements. Like for example, the Charvaka has about 4 elements, right? The Shaktaya Tattvas are 36 in number, and Shaivas they have about 23. Kapila had given about 24 Tattvas, and Vaishnavas we believe in about 26. Allah, Acharya. The Vaishnava Tattvas are 26 in number, right? Prakriti, Purusha, Nantara, Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Allah.
Yes,
How many
yes.
Tattvas would you? 26 Allah, Vaishnava Tattvas. Namdu Tattva
Yeah.
Sankhya Barodu, 26.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
so there are
Yes.
different in numbers. See, each of us, and we have them all explained through that. Like for example, in lot of instances, a lot of pronouns are used. Okay,
Just a minute,
te, ne,
just
them
a
are.
minute, just a minute. Bharat, that's okay. That's a great knowledge that even I would like to know more from you. But here, when we are discussing the verse, and initially you said that there was some discussion going on. So if we speak in the context of the verse, then I'm not sure if
So what I
all
was
of the
trying to
knowledge
say
would
was,
be
this
relevant
is
to
the
that or not.
shloka where Krishna drops the point of tattva. This is the first instance where tattva is spoken of in Bhagavad Gita. And throughout Gita, he insists on you to know everything through tattva. The second chapter, he drops the concept of tattva. The third chapter, he says, know it from Tattva. What is Karma Yoga? You have to know it from Tattva. Tattva vittu mahabaho, gunakarma vibhaga yoho, guna guneshu vartanta iti matva na sajjate. That is knowing the Karma Yoga from the concept of Tattva. Even the Jnana, Karma Sannyasa, yeah, I mean, even there he says, every chapter he uses, know this from the Tattva. And this is the first time, this is the shloka where he drops the concept, okay, there is something called Tattva. You have to na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Okay, the untrue does not have does not have an existence or manifestation, and the unmanifest is not true. Like, you have to look at it, from different ways. Okay, ubhayor, and this thing has been seen by the tattvadar. So which means your pain could be real, but you have to just hold on to it. Like, tan sitikshasva, like, bharata, like, you have to, because they are agama pa, nityaha, like, they keep coming and going. So why you shouldn't cry? Everything has to be understood through tattva. And he drops the concept of tattva is what you were all, I was trying to say, man. That's my only small point.
Okay. So I think that, yeah. So I think that you're just putting a sort of different perspective to it, as I can understand from what you said.
I don't know that it's different.
And
Because
basically,
even Paramatma
it just...
Tattva, right? Even Paramatma is a Tattva.
Yes.
Vishnu, before
So
we look at his Chaturbhuja form or Vishwarupa form, it is a Tattva. There are different definitions of who Paramatma is.
Bharat, as I see it, that I see that you are explaining absolutely fine from your perspective. What I was doing was only a little bit simplified in different words.
No, I didn't refute
And
any
आप
of your
देखो कि अगर किसी को तत्व का ज्ञान होगा, if anybody has the knowledge of tattva, that knowledge cannot come by mere books. That knowledge will come by experience if it comes. The tattva knowledge cannot come by books, no matter how many books we read. Like you see, if you would have seen Sadhguru plays a lot with the tattvas. He talks about it. Because he has experienced something and he has the vision to understand it. So that can only come to the men of wisdom. Here, men of wisdom means the person who has experienced it. Basically, what you're saying is the same thing. It is not a different thing. You're saying the one who has the tattva gyan. Now, the tattva gyan can come to a man of wisdom. That is the person who has experienced the tattvas. It is the same thing. So it's just a way of saying what you said was
is also
almost
a subject. Tattva is a big subject. We have books called Tattva Sankhyana, Tattva Vivek. There is something called the Vishnu Tattva Vinirnaya. Tattva is a big subject. We study Tattva as a subject. That's something that we need to know. Tattva is a big subject.
Yes, of course. Everything is a detailed subject, and if we go into it, and everything has a theory to it, definitely.
And when Krishna keeps repeating, we have to understand all this message through Tattva. There is a way to decipher it through the Tattva. There is a big lesson. 13th chapter is all about this. 13th chapter is entirely about the Tattvas. Ultimately, it's all Purusha Prakriti. It all drops from them. Those are the supreme Tattva, highest of the Tattva. The lower of the Tattvas are your, Bhumihi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kam, Manaha, so, Ahankara. All of these are the lower Tattvas. Purusha Prakriti, it's all about Tattva. We have to understand. Krishna keeps repeating, know this from Tattva. Every chapter on chapter, he insists, please know all of these things by Tattva. Now, Janma Karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. Tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti sojana. He will, after giving up this body, he will only attain me, no rebirth. You have to know it from Tattva. So, everywhere it's all about Tattva.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to note this very finely.
Yeah. What happens is the whole Bhagavad Gita, this debate started between Arjuna. It is just because he went to that type of emotions and started worrying about his relatives will be killed in this particular war. That started debate there. So then that is the emotion part, and then that compassion part, and all these things. So then Krishna started all these things. This is the Pancha Bhautika Sharira. Again, it comes to the Tattva thing. So again, the Pancha Bhautika Sharira, you should not concentrate. It is not going to exist here permanently. the asataha, it is going to be destroyed. Which is going to be destroyed, which is not going to be permanent, it is called as asat. Which is going to be permanent, it will stay with lifelong, that is called sat. So whatever you are talking about, this body or anything or emotions or any attachment or anything, these are all or panchabhautika siddha tattva siddhanta. So these are all depend upon this panchabhautika sharira, and these are the organs developed theory of theory. So that is why you should not concentrate on those things. You just concentrate on the soul. Then soul, which is always permanent there, along with God and Prakriti. So that again the tattva will come there. So tattva vitu means there are the three types of different versions we can give it for tattva. Tattva means yathartha, which is exactly as it is, that is tattva. And tattva means truth, and tattva means this panchabotika tattva as well. So you can take it in a different way. That, as I said, each and every shloka of Mahabharata can be interpreted in 10 different ways. So that is why. And then based on that, the whole Mahabharata and whole Bhagavad Gita concept is to convince Arjuna that soul is permanent thing. Whatever you are going through with these emotions and all these things, it is a non-permanent thing. You have to come out of this and you have to fight it. That is what is Krishna's main advice. Then he has to go through all this tattva and all these things. He will explain it as Kashishji said or Bharataji said. Based on that only it will develop. We have to wait for further shlokas. Thank you very much.
I just
Quite
want
true.
to,
It is.
I just want to make one point, maybe about 20 seconds, about this
Yeah.
tattva, right? Why I strongly feel importance of this tattva is because the last words of Arjuna are very important. These are extreme expression of the tattva acting upon you at a bare physical level. Like, when he says, Nahi prapashyami mamapa nudyad yachoka muchoshanam indriyanam. My senses, indriyas are completely uchoshanam, like, completely dried up. I don't have any more juice left in me. Like, my indriyas are completely numbed out. Okay, nahi prapashyami, yachok, avapya bhuma vasapatna mruddham rajam suranam, apichadipatyam. He just drops off completely. Indriya, and that is what Krishna brings up to the table again. Matras, parshasta, kaunteya, shitoshna, sukaduktu. These are all tanmatras. These are all momentary things. Hang on to them, like, bear with them. Tan sitikshasva bharata. Then comes to say, okay, these are all real, but understand the next one. He says, avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. Look at that atma. Then he brings the attention towards the atma. Boss, understand the real you. When you talk about you as you, in this Sankhya Yoga, we have to look for where Krishna clearly takes us across four definitions of what I can mean. I as Prajna, Chitta, Atma, Jivatma, whatever we want to call. The other aspect is the Buddhi. Whenever I say I, there is a Buddhi also that I possess, which takes a lot of decision. There is a Manas, okay, which is processing all the sense organs, right? Manas is playing on the sense organs. Okay, Manas also takes a lot of decision. When I say I, it can be my manas, it can be my ahankara, which is constantly reminding me what is mine, my vanity, right? My ahankara, manas, buddhi, and the chitta, the prajna. This entire Sankhya Yoga starts with prajna, then establishes the buddhi, then talks about how manas and ahankara can come in. So if you can look at it from tattva, right, everything is a playbook for for a non-believer. I mean, take it from an atheistic point of view. Krishna keeps on reminds you, keeps on reminding you that this is all through tattva. He drops the tattva aspect very, very nicely. So look at it from that connection. I see a very strong connection, like because the sense or indriyas are the lowest of the sense, like jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, pancha mahabhutas, pancha tanmatras. What is the one in the experience and one in the experiencer? Like when you experience it, you have the jnanendriyas and the karmendriyas to experience the tanmatras in the pancha mahabhutas. Okay, that's the entire 20 sets of lower tattva. On top of that comes your ahankara, manas, buddhi, and the atma, chitta, prakriti, whatever mahat we want to call, and then comes the purusha and the ishvara, 26. We are, we have the complete tattva. If you can understand it from that point of view, see, then if you look at it, any other Shastra, Ayurveda, Shilpa Shastra, everywhere you have to look at it through the same set of tattvas. Tattvas don't change. These are the standard set of tattvas. For us, any question on life, universe, and everything, like the way Douglas Adams says, right? I mean, that is all answered through tattvas. Tattvas is the answer for everything. Maybe 42 is somewhere cracked out in that. I don't know. So tattva is very essential for us to understand. Okay, even as an atheist, I can so throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna very nicely illustrate who Bhagavan is. When he keeps on, he starts dropping the bomb, Chatur Varnyam Maya System, Imam Vivasvate Yogam. I started delivering it to Vivasva. So the Paramatma Tattva, when it unfolds, if you mark those points as a Tattva Vichara and think what Mahavishnu can be, it's so brilliant to envisage what Mahavishnu can be, who that Narayana could be, who that Krishna can be, who that Janardana can be. We can actually visualize the Paramatma Tattva. So Tattva, if we can focus on that from an atheistic point of view, it will be a brilliant thing to notice. I mean, that's something I would like to share. That's it.
Yeah, I
If
just want
if
to say one thing, Jay, that
Yeah.
since the time I entered into this room, somehow my Atma, my soul feels so good. I don't know why. I don't see any reason to it because I have been to other rooms in previous days as well. So, whatever be the reason, I just want to thank to whoever kept this room. Thank you so much. And thanks for everybody as well for coming, because the energy, it comes together with the presence of all the souls. It doesn't come with any one or two people. Thanks to everybody. Thank you for the person who kept this room. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining us, Kashish ji. And I don't know whether maybe you're joining us for the first time. We just transitioned in from the Mahamrityunjay Jap room. So in many ways, I think somewhere down the line, Mahadev enabled us to really start this room off because the idea started in the Mahamrityunjay Mantra Jap room, and it has blossomed into this room, which is now into the second chapter and going ahead, and with the presence graced by all of you in the speaker panel and also in the audience who are gracing us with their presence and listening keenly. So just to quickly reset, probably you are in the Healing and Meditation Club, and this particular room is Bhagavad Gita from the beginning, and we are going verse by verse, chapter by chapter, and going into Sanskrit verse, then doing a direct English translation, and then having an open discussion, and really trying to see where the teachings of Sri Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita as a whole can apply to us in our daily lives, in our day-to-day living, and how our past life experiences can really relate to what is being spoken in the Bhagavad Gita, and how we can enrich our lives using this knowledge in a very practical sense, and not really letting it live or rest in the books or in theory, and trying to really inculcate this and turn it into life for us. So when we say this is life for me, it should become the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So basically, in many ways, our aspiration is to probably, I would be foolish to say that and maybe have a very high aspiration, but yes, to practically start living like how Lord Krishna lived, because how he lived is the entire teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. So yes, I know it's a really big target to achieve. Probably I'm not even in the beginning phases, but yes, it is an aspiration to live up towards and to really go after, because it's going to enrich the lives and really open our eyes to the true knowledge and not just see materialistic things around us. So this is the Bhagavad Gita room, and We are doing this weekly, every Wednesday, 10:30 p.m. And apart from this, please do join us for our regular Mahamrityunjay Mantra Jap room, which is happening 2 times every day, every 12 hours. That's 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And all these rooms and all this information you will get in the club description. You can go to the greenhouse icon at the top of the screen, so you can follow the club, and there are already a few rooms scheduled over there. You can press the bell to get the notifications, and especially if you're outside India, you will get the notification in your local standard time. So please do that. And yes, I think it's an enriching discussion going on. We do have a few more people who have to still speak, so we'll just go to them. Namaste, Sumanji, Dr. Suman Acharya. Pranam.
Yeah,
Welcome.
namaste. Hare Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Uh, yeah, I think I don't know what discussion happened. Only I was here listening to, the previous, Bhagavad Bhakta. Before that, I was not here, so I'm sorry. If Sridhar Acharya or somebody else has already given the verse meaning or literal word meaning, I have no idea about it. Okay. Otherwise, I hope it would not be a repetition, if at all. I read out the verse and give the Dvaita philosophical meaning. That is, exact, literal meaning of the verse.
Yes, please
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, नासतो विद्यते भावः नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. Here we split it as na asatah vidyate bhavah, na abhavah vidyate satah, ubhayorapi drishtah antah anayoho tu tattvadarshibhihi. Which means, actually the question, why did that shloka arise, and in what situation? Arjuna said, my lord, see, by fighting with our own family members, kith and kin, definitely I am going to face that narak or hell. Because if I am going to kill them, being their relative, definitely I am going to uh, face that hell. It would be very difficult for me. And second thing is, asatah abhavah vidyate na satah bhavah vidyate na. Which means, actually, then Krishna says, see, my child, nasato vidyate bhavah. Here asat means asat karmas. By doing something wrong, just like how na bhavaha vidyate, you won't get good fruits, right? By doing something illful deed, will you get bhava? Bhava means good fruit. Asat means bad deeds. Asataha bhavaha na vidyate. By doing something bad, how you don't get good fruits? Sataha abhavaha api na vidyate. In the same way, by doing something good, how will you get something bad result? How do you get something very bad result? It's not possible. Just like how you don't get good results out of bad deeds, so you won't get an opportunity to face difficulties or problems in your life by doing something good. Ubhayorapi drishtaha antaha. From both of these things, by experience, Tattvadarshibihi, the great philosophers, the great sages, whom we call as aparokshajnanis, who have seen God, who have experienced God, they are called Tattvadarshis. Tattva means God. One who have seen God, one who have experienced God in their life, they have, by their own experience, given this to us, saying, Ubhayorapi antaha drishtaha. See, we have seen both in the sense somebody doing something bad but not getting good results, somebody doing some good deeds may not be immediately getting some good results, but of course after in a span of time definitely he's going to get the good results or good fruits. Therefore, Arjuna, first you have to understand what is good deed and what is bad deed. Being a Kshatriya, you should not see whether he is your brother, sister, father figure, or somebody else. Instead, you should just see each and every one as your subject. You are a king, you are a Kshatriya. You should see everyone as your own subject. And if among subjects, if there are some people who are really troubling or troublesome, you have to punish them, man. It's your duty. So by performing your duty, how can you say that you are going to get some bad results? You have come to do your duty here in this battlefield. So therefore, sataha abhavo na vidyate. From good deeds, definitely you are not going to get anything, you are not going to face anything bad in your life. Upayorapi drishtaha antaha. Antaha result is, very clear. It's been experienced by many great aparoksha jnanis, man. Intellectual people, sages, who have experienced God, have experienced this too, that a person who is doing good would get only good results. A person who is doing something bad will definitely have to face something bad. Therefore, you need to understand that what is duty and what is not your duty. You're totally confused. You are unable to bifurcate amongst duty and no duty. Here, what you are doing is your duty. You're performing your duty in this battlefield. You are a Kshatriya. And you say that I don't mind even going for begging, but definitely I'm not going to fight with my own relatives, kith and kin. See, begging is not your duty, man. That is not your profession. You're not a beggar, you're a Kshatriya. At any cost, you're not supposed to beg anything from anybody. You have to earn. You have to earn your food. You're not going to beg because you're a Kshatriya. So that's what Krishna says, that you, even if you die in this battlefield, you are going to heaven because you have did your duty. And if you win, definitely in future you are going to heaven, that is after this life. And even in this life you are going to enjoy everything. But whereas if you go back running from the battlefield, definitely you will be considered as a coward, and everybody take you as role model and people may follow you in future. Then what kind of ethics, what kind of moral value are you passing on to your future generation? Therefore, ubhayorapi drishtaha antaha. In both cases, great tattvajnanis, tattvadarshis have found the result. What is the result of good deed and what is the result of bad deed has been experienced by the great Tattvadarshis. So better you stay back, fight. Even if you die, I would be proud of you. But you need not run away from the battlefield, is the actual meaning of this verse. Nasato vidyate bhavaha नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टः अन्तः अनयोस्तु तत्त्वदर्शिभिः. That's the reason the word tvanayoho, tu plus anayoho. Tu means indeed. Indeed tattvadarshibhihi anayoho antah drishtaha. Therefore, I am not just saying like that. I have seen many people telling that they have experienced this. What they have narrated their experience before me. That's what I am narrating it to you. So therefore, indeed you are going to get the good results. Therefore, Arjuna, do not be a coward and run away. Just do your duty. Follow my instructions. Fight against these enemies, not your relatives. That's the actual. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Acharya. Is there a way we can interpret the first line as na asataha vidyate bhavaha na abhavaha vidyate asataha? Andre with an avagraha.
Yeah,
Vidyate
yeah,
asataha.
yeah. Asataha.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
of
is
course.
also
Actually,
So
that is also a
asataha,
possibility.
that's a possibility, no?
Yeah, a possibility, but again we will deviate ourselves from the topic sometimes because as I said, we always have a
10,
10
10
difference
meanings.
meaning, 10 difference meaning of the
correct,
particular
correct.
shloka, and we can
I told last time
definitely.
itself, I was telling there are 8 to 10 meanings which we can interpret, but just for not to confuse the people who are started learning now, I thought let me give a simple meaning of this. I was just based on Shabda Nirnaya and Madhva Bhashya, I just gave the normal meaning of this. Of course, as you said, there are many more such meanings, interpretations, but just a pure, regular, normal meaning was what I just gave it. That's it.
As we all
That's
always
very
say that
beautifully explained, Acharya. Thank you
uh,
very much.
this is where we have to go through this particular thing. So this particular shloka should be explained to our kids when they get into college, and now they will interchange the lots of subjects and all these things, right? So of course it's fine. Actually, you have to do those things. But as long as once you decided you are going to be a doctor, or once you decided you are going to be an engineer, once you decided to be a certain professional person, then you should not get discouraged by certain things. If you are not capable of doing anything, still you have to try it because you already decided it. But if you are doing this and then you are in the middle of the semester, you should not leave the college. You have to finish it. Try, give your best. Even if you, after giving your best, if you fail, everybody will applaud you. If you are not giving any try, then you run away. That is what is he says. Krishna says, "Vadishyanti tavahitaha." Nindantavastava samartyam vadishyanti tavahitaha. Even if you are not trying something and if you are running from there, then people start talking about all the nonsense thing about you. That is why you have to give a try with wholehearted try. So that is what explaining here. Also, you have to do it. You have to fight it. Whatever the reasons you are giving, it is everything is childish reasons you are giving. Even all the seers, all the Tattvadarshis, everybody understood so many. They explained to me. I'm going to explain all those things. You have to have a courage. You have to fight it out. This is what he is saying. And this particular shloka should be complimented as a compliment. We should tell to our younger generation and new kids. Thank you very much.
Also, quite interesting to note that at this point, Sri Krishna has really not revealed his true identity of being the being he is, and in that ways, he is at this point referring to people who are already known to be knowledgeable. So he's referring to them because at this point he has not really revealed his identity. So it's interesting to note that he's taking the help of examples of seers and people who have already accessed this knowledge and this truth, so that Arjuna has ease in understanding and identifying with these things, and also in accepting what Shri Krishna has to say to him right now, because we have not yet reached the Bhagavad Gita's end. In fact, it's practically just the beginning of it. So it's going to keep on increasing in terms of the level of the layers of the onions which Shri Krishna is going to take off. So we're practically at the outermost layer right now. So that is why he's using very common terminologies and common terms which Arjuna can understand. But in this verse, yes, he still has used a lot of things which are going to set the tone for what he will say later on. And it's interesting to note the difference being spoken about of the creator and the created. So that is quite interesting to note in this verse as well, wherein the creator and the created, that difference comes out, and where one must focus on, and what is transitory and what is permanent. So it's a it's really a question of distinguish between, which we used to do in our school times, where we used to get those questions of distinguish between this and that. So it's really bringing out those differences in that sense. I see Gauriji over here who has not spoken. Um, Gauriji, you'd like to add something probably? Gauriji, you're there? Okay.
Okay, in the meanwhile, expanding or adding few points to what Mr. Jay said and Sridharacharya said. Nowadays, many people keep blaming God. What is this you say? God is everywhere, He's omnipresent, omnipotent, and all. But I have been doing all good things. In fact, I'm working in an institution. It's a Jesuit education institution where I'm head of the Sanskrit department. There, every once in a semester, I take some these value-added courses. Then few of the students, you know that I'm in Tamil Nadu, so Chennai. It's like few of students say, "What is this? You say God is everywhere. He is omnipotent and all." But my grandfather, my father, or my granny, she was doing all her life, throughout her life, she used to do only good deeds. And my grandfather was a very good doctor. He used to help everybody. But he died in a very young age. Then what is this God doing, who is all pervading, omnipotent, omnipresent, and all you say? Where was he? Why did he punish my father or uncle, aunt, or granny or grandfather? Why did he do so? So therefore, even though people who are doing good, he is not doing anything good for them. Therefore, how can we believe him, etc.? Questions they generally pose. This is what I mean. These the younger generations, led by the media. Okay, the mostly they are led by the media, the social media, and nowadays, of course, they are all driven by the media. So they go by that and say, we have to question. People say, okay, question, but don't make your life only keep on questioning without knowing the answers. And, people say that yes, we need to question, but just for the sake of questioning, we should not keep on questioning. I should know first, am I eligible to question first? Because now I am reading Bhagavad Gita. Immediately, if I ask something, if I start questioning about something medicine or some engineering topic which I am in no way connected with, nor I have any basic knowledge about it, it would just be a question. That's all. nobody is going to take it seriously because they know that I am a foolish person who has no knowledge about that particular engineering or science or medicine or something. So therefore, we should train our kids or children that they need to question, but equally they need to have some basics about what they are questioning. That's what Krishna says here. Arjuna, do not just, one night all, immediately you just wake up and say, no, all the way you came from your house to this battlefield and you ask me, Krishna, please take me to the middle of the battlefield. I want to see everybody who is capable and who is equal to me or something. But later, immediately you saw all these people who are also your relatives. Okay, they are also your relatives. But actually, you came here to fight with your enemies, not with your relatives. But you just forgot the purpose of, why you have come here. The purpose of your visit to this battlefield, you have totally forgotten after seeing these people. Didn't you know that they are your relatives before coming to this battlefield? You knew very much. Still, you asked me to come here. Then what happened suddenly? Because you are carried away by, generally this is what happens, like how the present generation carried away by the social media, or somebody else says that, oh, this I should not do, this I should do, immediately they also get carried away by that and start doing the same thing and start keep on questioning or keep on saying that this is wrong, that is wrong, God is not there, punya is not there, papa is not there, swarga is not there, punya, naraka is not there, all these, because they are driven away, they are carried away by somebody else. That is not their actual attitude. For them, this is the answer what Krishna gives. He says, see, doing something good, will you get some bad result? Doing something bad, will you get some good result? No. Once or twice, just by hook or crook, you may get it, but not actually. In the long run, definitely you think about it, you are not going to get good results for the bad deeds. So therefore, I think we need to make our children, our students, our kids, our fellow beings that, see, keep doing something good. Today you write examination. That's what I told them. The answer for those students who questioned me saying that, see, my granny, all these people have been doing good deeds throughout their life, but immediately in this young age they died. For them, my answer is, see, my dear, you write your exam. Okay, 6 days or 7 days or 8 days or 10 days. 10 papers you write. And after writing the exam, immediately will you come to your professor or controller of examination and ask him, please give me my results? No. Even after writing examination, you may have to wait for 1 or 2 months. Maximum, at least a minimum of some 10 to 15 days, because they have to evaluate. There is a process. The evaluation has to be done. Somebody has to verify it. Then tabulation has to be done. Then data entry has to be done. Then marks card printing has to happen. Then it will be publicly, either in the college portal or somewhere else, it will be announced. So there is a process, right? In the same way, you did something good. Now, you want the results immediately now. How can you expect? Previously,
Guruji, I
if
would
you have...
like to...
Sorry?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just said I would like to add something to what you were saying actually about the students.
please.
Should I? Thank you. So I completely agree with you. This is one question with students. Thank you for bringing it up. My students all the time, they have this question, why this person in my family died? And it was difficult for me initially, but then I thought a way out. So while you brought it up, I thought to share it with you as well. So there is a song by Kabir. It's a song on awakening. Whenever your students, they talk about this, they bring up this topic and why a certain person died. He was so good. So you can start your discussion with this one by saying this song. Actually, it is on YouTube now. It was a poem by Kabir. It says, Sadho re ye murdo ka gaon. After that, it says, Peer mare, Paigambar mare hai, mar gaye Ved aur rogi. So the saint dies, the prophet dies, the king dies, his subject dies, and the doctor dies, so do the patients. So if we have to make them understand that it is not, you go to hospitals, patients die, but the doctors also die. And this is one truth of our existence. I know it is very difficult with younger students. To the adults, we can still explain a bit, and they might come to an understanding after a while. But even with the younger one, very empathetically, very beautifully, we have to, by using examples, we have to explain them that um, that this is one truth of our existence. We come here, we take birth, we live, and we die. And in fact, we can use it in a very constructive way by telling them that, see how people come into this world and they leave this world. Therefore, there is no competition in this world, because the one thing that uh, creates a problem for so many people in this world is competition, is why this person is ahead of me, and that creates so much suffering and grief in a person's mind. But at the end, we are unable to see that bigger picture, that everybody has a life, everybody has so many huge aspects of his life which he's taking care of at the same time. When you're in the same class, and whoever is doing whatever, they'll eventually just find their own destinies. There is no competition. So we can actually, weave in many different concepts with it. The concept of competition, the concept of compassion with it, that the divine is in every being, and how we are just, and you're into Sanskrit. So Sanskrit has a lot of shlokas in it, which can also be then used, interconnected to explain different concepts. But we have to somehow bring the understanding that it is important to understand the concept of birth and death eventually, because if we don't tell them anything, it would leave a blank space in their mind, and there will be a question, and it actually can also, when we don't answer something, it sometimes create a suffering in the mind of a person, that why I'm not getting answer to it. And if we know the answer, then why not we as teachers, as learners ourselves, why not just address to this question with other concepts as well? So just
Correct, correct, correct.
you just
Yeah. I mean,
so I thought to
I
share it
think
with you. Yeah.
wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think nowadays we should also know that we should not rebut them immediately. If some of them have that habit of, immediately responding to them and rebutting or condemning or criticizing and making them not to ask questions. We have to
Yeah,
make them understand that.
slowly.
Correct. Wonderfully. What you said is perfect. We have to see to it that we appreciate their questioning ability and the way they pose the question, everything. But make them also understand that in future, when you question, what kind of prior, what do you say, like information you need to have, and what you are questioning is the way you are questioning or the posing the question, is it right? So if we make them understand all these, then with a little bit of knowledge, they would question, they would pose, rather than just getting carried away by somebody else or some other media or something else, or some incident. So therefore I told them, that's what, this is the examination, how it takes little time. In the same way, yesterday's or previous semester's exam you are getting this month, and this exam you are going to get it in the next month or next semester, after 6 months or 3 months or 4 months. So in the same way, the previous birth, what the karmas, the deeds were, fruit of that you are enjoying now. Of this, Of course, little bit you will be enjoying even now, like how we have Viva exam as well as written exam. Viva exam, you might be getting the results immediately after a day or the same day also. In the same way, some of the fruits we may get on the same day. But the examination, which is for some 80 marks or 100 marks, for which you are going to write a very long essay or in few pages, likewise, there are many such people in your class. So therefore, the evaluation has to happen in the same way. Our deeds are also going to be evaluated. And after evaluation, definitely we are going to get the results. But no doubt, Krishna says, asataha bhavo na vidyate. You are going to get your results maybe little late, but you are definitely going to get the results the way you have put in your deeds. The deeds are good, the deeds are with some good intention, they are put forth, definitely you are going to get good results. Like if you have written your examination in a very good way, the paper, the results will be automatically good. Nobody can stop you. What can they do? So therefore, I think this shloka, making use of this shloka, as Ms. Kashi said, in the same way, we need to, I think, give some illustrations, examples from our own Puranas, Upanishads, and all. We have a lot of Upanishads, or from our own daily life. So with that, I think we will be able to make them understand what are these scriptures, what are these Gita, Sahasranama, Puranas, Upanishads, etc. are for. In that way, I think we can give them a very good moral education also. So everything is there in this Mahab. That's the reason Vyasa Maharshi said, Yadi hasti tadanyatra yanneya hasti na tatkvachit. What is there here is everywhere. What is not here, definitely you don't find it anywhere else. It means everything is here. So Bhagavad Gita, it seems like just 2 lines, but lot of treasure is hidden in this. Only thing is the way we see. The perspective is what is very important. We need to get into the depth of this, then we will be able to, I think, make our people who are surrounding us or with us understand this and adopt or inculcate or incorporate these values in their lives and excel like how Arjuna excelled and cherished his life.
Quite true,
Thank you, Mr.
Stephen.
Jay.
Yeah, quite true. It is one of the most important text to be read, and probably more than read, more to be imbibed and lived with, so that it truly gets internalized and not remains just something we open up when an emergency situation comes or when a challenge or a hurdle comes, but something which we internalize and keep within ourselves. I see Achal has come up. Namaste. Welcome to the stage. Achal, you're there?
I'm here.
No. Achal.
Anjalji, are you with us? Maybe she's on a call. I also see Anandji is here.
Still as Anand
Yeah.
has been since the
Hello.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just in a listening mode today. I just love your spaces. So Jai, Sukanya ji, Asha ji, so Kashish ji. So thanks a lot. I just love to listen. So today I am just in a listening mode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anshulji, are you here?
I don't know. I think maybe are you speaking and it's mute, or you're having a mic glitch? I'm not sure.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
I'm so sorry, I was on a call.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. No worries.
yeah, I just got here and listening to some really interesting things. I've been following your rooms for quite some time. So, yeah, thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you have any thing to input, or just listening mode tonight?
Absolutely not. Just listening mode tonight.
Okay, all right, no worries.
Yeah, I just have one small request actually. So
Yes.
maybe we can have a very short chanting before we end up this. I'm not sure like when we are going to end up, but I'm just like I'll
Yeah,
keep listening
we
it.
are about to end.
Yeah, I just want to have
Oh,
the
you want to
chanting.
offer?
Any chanting. I want to have it from you guys so that
Okay,
like we
all
can do
right.
it.
Okay. I think we are at 12:30 right now, so we should really
Mhm. Yes,
be
yes,
mindful of the time. Yeah.
yes. Um, so I think of all the people on stage, I would say that I know the least, and so which was why when Jayaji read out the verse and then gave the translation and explanation, and I was trying to look through this yesterday to prepare something in my mind, the understanding of his Lord Krishna's wisdom. I kept just it was like a maze to me. It's so simple, the words, but it also was like a maze that I kept going in circles. So I just want to thank everybody who spoke. Sridharaji, Bharatji, Sumanji, and Kashishji. You brought it together for me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to every single person who comes here and is part of the audience, and as well up here on stage to help us, or help me. I would say I can talk about myself. Help me decipher and just, I guess, dip slowly into this vast ocean of knowledge. I, from what I'm taking away from this verse particularly today, is there's a lot more that I have to experience. There's a lot more that I have to learn, and not to just take everything that is around me as in face value, and just not everything that I'm just experiencing in my senses in the face value, but to really be within myself, understanding the depth and knowledge of what was imparted to us. I feel extremely grateful for everybody on stage, and immensely, the words, I don't have the words for the vastness of what has been left for us, for me, in our shastras, in our history. I'm just grateful. So I hope that I can extend an invitation to all of you in the audience, and definitely every single one of you who's on stage, to be with us next week as we go through this and help people like me understand, or begin to understand how much more I need to learn. Um, so, with that, I think if it's okay with everyone, given the time and being mindful of the time, and that it's a Wednesday in the middle of the week, that we bring this session to conclusion and look forward to the one next week. So, Jet, Acharya ji, Sridhar ji,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
thank
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. Good night to everybody
Hari
and
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
हरि ओम हरे हरे श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
Shri
श्री
Krishna.
कृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
If it's okay, I will just recite or chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Sure.
Yeah.
प्लीज प्लीज.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo. Om,
Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
थैंक यू.
So with
हरे.
that, um, I'm grateful again to everyone. And if we can count down and everyone can say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya on the count of 3, 2, 1.
Om Namo